Hello, story seekers. I'm Nico.
I'm Ben, and you're listening to our favourite part of the week.
Questions, discussions, and a high likelihood of gratuitous obscenities, all in the service of a bibliomancer. This is the Tiny Bookcase.
We're joined today by a long-time friend of the pod. His last appearance was over 2 years ago, and in that time he's finished off his second trilogy and begun a third. Over 100 episodes later, we'd like to warmly welcome RJ Barker.
Boys, is it that long?
It's that long. It's that long.
Is it really that long? God.
Yeah.
God, mind you, you came to join us, didn't you?
Yes.
did,
Yeah.
in the middle.
There was a bit later.
That was
Yeah.
manic, that.
That was manic.
Right
I
upwards.
really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Just aggressively derailing your podcast.
You'll
For it to happen to someone else.
You'll have to come back because we've got new things now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, we've
Definitely.
got new things to ask people. I think we've got one new thing to ask people, but it's a new thing, and it doesn't really matter. And I suspect if you come back up with mostly me and Kit talking about the bear.
I really enjoyed watching the chat just light up when we were all just going off the rails repeatedly during that. It was great.
That's what the audience is there for. Just
Yeah.
They've set up a bingo of the audience.
Oh really?
On stuff that we'll say. How long is it before RJ mentions Bosch and stuff like that? That's got it. Anyway, we're not here to talk about my podcast. We're here to do your podcast.
So, I mean, how have you been? Like, 2 years, 100 episodes. It's been a while, and you've done loads. So, how have you been getting on?
I've been getting on all right. The Bone Ships did quite well. My new thing,
Don't
God's the
be
Wyrdwood.
modest.
Yeah, it did really well. And
Yeah.
won the British Fantasy Award for Best Novel, which is
Hell
lovely.
yeah, man. That's
Yeah.
incredible. What did that feel like?
Well, this sounds so giddy. I don't really hold up awards for art. Then I don't think you can really judge art. So, and it was during lockdown that they did the awards, and I thought I'm just not doing anything to do with it. I'm not going to win any. It doesn't matter. So I was actually coming back from getting some water, and there are 3 steps in our flat, and my agent texted me just as I hit those 3 steps with "You've only gone on bloody 1," and I fell down the stairs.
Oh no!
Oh no!
I didn't hurt myself, but according to my son, I shrieked as I fell down the stairs, and that's what he delights in telling people. So that's how I reacted to winning an award. I fell down the stairs, and it's lovely because the British Fantasy Society are fantastic, and it's lovely for them to do that thing and say, "Yeah, you've done really well, and we like it."
Yeah,
So
that's wicked.
Yeah, and
But I think we are going to have to put you in a bungalow if you're going to keep winning awards. So
yeah.
Kind of shrieking goths flopping all over the north.
No, it's not good, is it?
No.
And then my new one, Gods of the Wyrdwood, came out in June. So and that came out in hardback in the UK. So that's a new thing for me, having a book released in hardback.
Oh, I love the cover, by the way. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's really nice cover.
Got like a Green Man vibe.
Yeah, I did not want that sword and shield on it.
Right, yeah, it is a little bit like it's very
Yeah.
different, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was just like, I don't want a sword and shield on it. I just want the man. And the publisher were like, yeah, but it's fantasy. You've got to have a sword and shield. And I was like, yeah, but
Are there any big differences in publishing in hardback to paperback? Did you have to do anything different?
yeah, unless you're like massive, you tend to sell less books because they're more expensive.
Yeah.
But they kind of get taken a little bit more seriously, I think, because it got reviewed in a national press this time. The Daily Mail. It got
The Daily Mail.
5 stars in the Daily Mail, which is very conflicting.
Yeah.
Because I like the 5 stars, but I don't like the Daily Mail. It's the only thing I've appeared in where I've not bought the issue. My wife's not bought the issue. I was like, nope, we'll not have it.
Did you have to dig back through your own writing to check for racist subtext?
My partner said, yeah, no, it's good because that's the people who need to read your stuff is Daily Mail.
That's a very good take on that, actually.
Yeah.
I'm there for that.
fair enough. And I think the Daily Mail's fantasy person is not actually, he's not Daily Mailed.
Right.
He seems to be quite a progressive chap. I say that, I don't want to get him in trouble. I don't know
Yeah,
him.
no, of course.
That's my perception of him.
I did have a look at some of the praise that it got, and one of the best ones was that one from SFX, where it's Avatar meets Dune on shrooms, 5 stars.
Yeah, yeah. It's probably the dottiest thing I've written so far, I think. And, yeah, but I didn't like it at all. I've really struggled with it, and it
The
took me
book?
ages. Yeah, I really struggled with it. My editor did point out that I've said that about everything I've released so far. Every time I look, I don't really like it. But I wrote it during lockdown, and my health was quite up and down. I think part of me in my head had kind of attached that to the book.
Right.
I'm getting a bit of distance on it now. I'm thinking, oh well, maybe it is actually all right.
So were you not in love with the concept of it from when you first started writing it, or did that sort of develop when you were editing and having to work with it a lot?
No, I think it kind of developed as it was about to be released.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think kind of I do that a lot. You sort of reject something, and then if people hate it, it's all right because you've already told yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever go in feeling really confident as it comes out, maybe pull it. Maybe your instinct is just wired backwards.
Yeah, I mean, it could be because I don't know, but I think it's a degree of fear because also the sort of publishing tells you that what you really should do is do something that's a bit like your last book.
Yeah.
But then people know what they're getting, and that's not what I do. I can't. And I did sat down when I sold Gods of the Wyrdwood to my editor, saying it's going to be loosely based on Robin Hood, and it'll be pretty short and really fast paced. And it's none of those things. It's massive. It takes ages to get going in the nicest way possible, and they're kind of there is bows and arrows in it. so,
I wonder if editors have to get used to people lying to them.
I think they know. I don't think they, because you have to give a synopsis, then you have to give a little sort of back of the book blurb of the next 2 books, and I think to some degree they don't actually expect you to deliver that. That's what they can take to the marketing people and say, oh, look at this. And then they go, oh, yeah, people will buy that. And then they give you money. And then you write the book. So I mean, my editor is always quite firmly on my side, Jenny. She's brilliant. She kind of...
You make that middle bit sound very easy, RJ.
Yeah.
And then they give you money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quietly just winning awards and bringing out trilogies. It's great.
I don't want to think about is the whole business bit that goes on in the middle. My agent does that. That's his job, not mine.
Right, we've just talked about your most recent stuff,
Which
but
is
I'm going to
good.
open with a question. What is the first story you wrote which meant something to you?
Oh. The first story I wrote that meant something to me, and this is really weird because we were just talking earlier on for people listening about interior decorating, and as part of that, I had to completely empty my cupboards, and I found a really old magazine with a story in it called "Hanging Out with the Dream King," which is about a boy going into the woods and discovering monsters, and it's quite brutal, and you don't make it to the end of the story. And I think because that's pretty much written where I grew up and based on a place in that woods that I knew that used to scare me, I think that might be the first thing. And that was probably written 12 years ago. No, I've been writing for 6 years now. So, and it took me 13 years to get published. So,
do you think that sort of started a trend in you of processing personal fears in your work?
No, because I don't think it's conscious. And
yeah.
Mind you, I say that Gods of the Wyrdwood. Yeah, you're aware of the hero's journey. It's a writing podcast, and there's the refusal of the call, and that's kind of quite interesting to me. And Gods of the Wyrdwood is about the refusal of the call, and I've described this book a few times as it's a story about a man who doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Which sounds so exciting for the reader, I'm sure, when you say that to them. But he's repeatedly leaves where he starts and then ends up where he starts again, and it comes back and it circles back. And I didn't realise until I was doing another thing that actually that's probably me talking about being chronically ill. Because my way of dealing with it is to completely ignore it until I really have no choice because I'm properly ill, which is stupid and wrong and foolish. But somebody said to me when they'd read the book, said, "Do you think it could be about that?" And I was like, "Ah, yes, almost definitely is, I think." So maybe I do put that stuff through into my writing rather than in a very English way. Actually face it, just stiff upper lip.
That's true. Yeah.
No,
I had someone to talk to about it previously. So because I'm type 1 diabetic, when I watch movies or read books, I find it really difficult to remove the idea of, yeah, but if you're going there and you haven't got your stuff, then you haven't got your medication. And I have to consciously not make that part of every character's life because I don't know a life without it. Do you find you have anything similar? Because it does, like people say, oh, what would you do if you had £1 billion? I was like, well, I've got to make sure I'm near a pharmacy. But other than that, like,
Yeah, I think I mean I tell myself I don't because I do like to ignore the fact that I'm ill because it's annoying on many levels and it interferes in your life. But I think when I look back at my novels, I'm clearly like Girton Clubfoot in the Assassin books. A lot of that is ways of dealing with chronic pain. Just put through into that book as kind of meditation for him. And then in the Boneship books, this is spoilery. Joron is through the 3 books gradually worn down
yeah,
mentally and physically by the events of his life, and I think kind of that's coming through. But also because it's all you know, you don't know whether that's what everybody else is doing. How could I know? I don't know. I
yeah.
don't think I am, but I probably am because what we write is us, isn't it? So
Yeah. It's got to go in somewhere.
yeah.
I mean,
God, we've got serious, haven't we?
I know it did, didn't it? Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Sorry,
there is
guys.
a degree of like not like over analyzing why something works as well as there, like just being like, yeah, this is how I write. I'm just doing that. I know I don't have a chronic illness of any kind, but like there's been many times in my life where people have been like, I think you should potentially see a shrink, basically, and I've been like, oh, I can't do that because that's how I create things. And I feel like that might be also potentially a less healthy version of what you guys are talking about, because it's sort of like I try and work it out when I'm writing, and because it's a bit more deliberate, I think sometimes it comes across quite bluntly,
Yeah.
whereas just allowing it to percolate and be a part of your process is potentially better for you, maybe.
I don't know.
I was going to say,
Please.
on the other hand, seeing a shrink might be the equivalent of me and Nico taking our medication.
That's true. Yeah.
And it doesn't take it away. It just allows something to be controlled, which is quite useful. Yeah, you didn't sound like you wanted to hear that, Ben. I'm sorry. I'll take that back.
No, I think it's a fair point. Like for me, it was more to do with like a moment of trauma,
Yeah.
and now so many years apart from it, I sort of feel like I'm sort of through it really. But there was definitely a period where it potentially, you were right, that there should have been some medication happening, even if it was just talk therapy. But
Yeah.
I think as well, it's especially if you're interested in doing something creative, it's really easy to get trapped in the idea of the suffering artist, which is just a lie. It's just a massive, massive lie. I read somewhere somebody saying, "Oh, that's something people say because they don't want to pay us," and I kind of think, could that be true? Because the difference in how I can create from before I got a book deal, and it was all a bit dicey, making it to the end of the month,
Yeah.
and getting a book deal where I am by no means like rich. I'm not George Martin or anyone like that, but I'm doing all
No, you
right.
actually write books
Yeah. Oh. um, he writes books. He just does it very slowly.
once every decade. Yeah.
Yeah. It's worked for him.
Yeah. No, hands up. Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So uh, it's much easier to create when you actually don't have to worry about if you can afford to eat or buy
Yeah.
like
Mm,
shoes for your child and stuff like
yeah.
that. So I'm a big fan of dispelling the myth of the tortured artist, and it's probably not that healthy to do it that way. But
Yeah.
we are repeatedly told it is, and that it's romantic. So,
The other one is the sort of the writer who drinks. We were discussing this a couple of weeks ago, and
Yeah, we
there's
were.
so many examples of very famous authors that just appear to be just lushes, just like Hemingway, Bukowski, people like this, and this idea that y- it's possible to write well when you're completely sozzled from a month or two on a bender, just seems like madness. Like, why not be properly hydrated and well rested?
I think it's probably easier to write if you're drunk because it can get rid of that bit of you that's going, is this good enough? Or maybe cocaine would be the perfect writing drug because
Yeah,
then you just think it's
Mm.
all brilliant and you just write it all down. Then you can edit it later on when you're not on cocaine. And actually realize that what you wrote was rubbish. But it's better to have like 20 pages of rubbish than nothing,
Mm.
because that could be that's that. I mean, all my first drafts are awful, and I give myself permission to do that because it's much easier
I mean,
to write
you
rubbish.
I'd love to just sort of get two versions of you on divergent timelines. Make one write on coke and then edit sober, and the other one write sober and edit on coke, and see how different the books were.
Oh dear! No, that's not an experiment I'm willing to do.
Well, we don't have a big budget, but let me call my friend Dangerous Tony.
I think,
Dangerous Tony is bad cocaine.
yeah, I think my drug days are well behind me. 'Cause it just keeps you awake all night. I want to sleep a lot now.
Jokes on you, drugs. I already have anxiety.
I'm becoming more and more cat-like the older I get. In that, really,
Yeah.
I just want to sleep for the majority of the day with a couple of hours of activity, and then eat, and that's me
I think
happy.
simple pleasures, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the and easy. And also, if you've got a kid, they're incredibly tiring creatures. I mean, they're lovely, but they're very tiring.
We have a close friend who is a new dad at the moment,
Mm.
and it is just he is knackered a lot.
Yeah, it's full on when they
Yeah.
just turned up because they don't understand sleep.
No.
They don't
No.
want any of that. No, it's rubbish. What are you on about? Sleep. I want to stay up and scream. That's what I want to
I
do.
mean,
Oh yeah.
our recent friend's dad, he did a late night with us. Ben and I did an all night, but he did a late night.
Yeah.
And turned up the next morning, full corpse, just absolutely ruined. This is a man who, a year ago we would have all just. Full disclosure, it was because we decided to do some tabletop role play on the Friday night and then carry it on the Saturday, and we would have just carried on rolling dice through
All through the
sunset,
night.
sunrise.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were genuinely concerned for his health because he'd missed a few hours of sleep. It was awful.
Yeah.
It's cumulative because sleep deprivation is just horrific, and babies
Mm.
they're the worst for it. But it gets easier the older they get as they move to different and equally terrible stages throughout their lives. But I wouldn't be without ours. He's fantastic. He makes me laugh. So
Do you
and
think, like, we were talking about like the way that things in your life affect your writing? Like, that's an obvious, a bit of a truism, isn't it? But
yeah.
has it been a factor in you becoming more successful? Do you think that you know that you have this little person to provide for?
I don't know because I think writing is to some degree a compulsion rather than a choice. But I know he feeds like the assassin books are all about parenting, They're
Mm.
they're basically about what it is to be a good parent while training your
Yeah.
child to kill people, which possibly I would not suggest you do with your child. But she is a good parent to him, even though she's not his real parent. Some of the actual parents you meet in it are awful, and they're telling you what not to do with your kids. So that fed into it, and also it taught me to be able to write. Have you heard of the Pomodoro method?
No,
No.
what's that?
Pomodoro method is quite a lot of writers I know use it, where you like write frantically for 20 minutes and then go and do something else for 10 minutes. It might be longer than that, might be less than that. I can't quite remember. But you come back and you write frantically again. And I discovered that naturally by being a stay-at-home dad.
Ah,
In that you write and then the kid wants something, so you have to go and do something, and it works really well for me. I have to have the television on to write now. I need distraction. Can't just sit in silence and do it.
and that's a new thing.
No, it's always been that. It's always
Always
been
been
that since because I just got used to it, and now it's a thing that I'm
Yeah.
used to, and I have to do it. So, but a lot of people, it is actually a thing they try to help themselves write, and it seems to work.
It's fascinating.
Right, while
It's-
we're actively back on your writing,
Oh,
I
yeah,
am
true.
going to ask a
Yes.
question
Oh,
because
yeah,
we
we're-
could do this all day. But where would you recommend that people start reading your stuff? Like, is there one book you'd say if you want to start RJ Barker, go here?
It's really because it all depends on what you like
Yeah,
and what you're after. Because at the moment, my feeling is probably go for the bone ships because it's finished.
yeah,
No, well, by God's the Wyrdwood, obviously.
100% by God's the Wyrdwood. Yeah.
100% by that because it's new out, and then review it on Amazon because publishers look at that. But maybe the Bone Ships is the one that won the awards. It's finished, and it's a really complete world, and I like it. But it's got a bit of a bar. So if you like your handheld, it's not going to do that. None of my stuff will. But the Assassin books are more classic fantasy. I think you can walk straight into those and you understand them. It's kind of a semi-medieval world and all that, and it'll feel familiar. So that's an easy way in. Or if you like crime, you can go and do the RJ Dark stuff, which is tremendous fun, I think. And all are kind of recognisably me in different ways. But yeah, I think Bone Ships is the one I'd say because it won an award. So go
Yeah,
check
it's
out.
true.
Yeah, go and check out the award-winning one. And then if it doesn't work for you, try the Assassin ones. And what I would say is make sure you buy the entire trilogy every time.
Yep.
Yeah, because then even if you don't like it, you've still given me royalties for $3. So you needn't feel guilty about not liking it, and that's just a lovely feeling. It makes you feel warm inside, I think.
So you completed 2 trilogies. I've got sort of a follow-up question to that, which is, did you have a different feeling of completion after the second trilogy than you had in the first, or was it the same kind of emotion?
No, the same emotion for each of them, which was I'm glad that's over with.
Just done with it. Sick of it.
Yeah. Because by the time did we talk about? Well, we must have talked about me not liking being told what to do.
I think it came up.
Yes, and by the time you're on book 3, you're telling yourself what to do quite heavily, and you have to work within that framework. And I'm not enjoying it as much by that point. And also, book 3 always starts with a sense of panic, which is how we're going to tie this all up. Because why didn't I plan things? Why didn't I do that? I should have done that. So by the time I get to book 3, I'm very glad that it's over with. So now people can enjoy it, and it's quite nice finding out what people get out of it. It's no longer for me anymore. So, and I'm more excited about the new thing or things that I'm doing at that point. So
That makes sense.
yeah, because we're always 1 or 2 years ahead of what you're reading as writers. It's a weird process, unless you're self-publishing, which is a lot quicker. Too quick for me.
Too quick.
Too quick for me. Yeah, I'm
military with tech, isn't it? Just a couple of years ahead all the time.
Yeah,
They've got iPhone 15s in the army.
no, God, that's That's too. I bet the cameras are good.
They
Even
use
less
them
child
to
welfare.
pilot drones. Yeah. They use them to steer their drones and destroy innocent civilians.
Oh well, God bless Cuddly Apple, eh?
Yeah,
With
but
their
he wore
weapons of
he
mass
wore a roll neck
destruction.
jumper. They're good guys.
Oh,
There's no such thing. It's so sad. I can't. I think the big moment of disillusionment for me was when Google decided that to drop "Don't be evil" as a company slogan. Because
made
Yeah,
the
is that a
conscious
thing?
decision.
that is a thing, yeah. That used to be their slogan, and they decided to get rid of that. And they didn't
Marketing has
even,
advised us to drop this slogan because it's no longer accurate.
yeah, they didn't even go to maybe a bit evil. That they just got rid of it completely.
It's the morality equivalent of when Pokemon had to stop the using "Gotta Catch 'Em All" because it became impossible without attending certain events.
I didn't know
I
that.
Yeah, so it was "Gotta Catch 'Em All" for like the first 2 or
I
3 games,
I didn't
and
know
then
they
they started
dropped it. I
having
knew it was.
event Pokemon.
Uh,
Yeah,
but it's still the song, isn't it?
yeah. I guess it's like Pokemon. Give it your best shot. Maybe take your
Yeah,
mum's credit card.
Don't worry if you don't.
yeah. That got to
There'll
catch a
be another one in
reasonable
6
amount.
months.
Got to catch a reasonable amount, yeah.
Yeah, that's my son has no understanding of that. You cannot move for Pokemon cards in his room.
So Nico always has a favourite question. I think what was it
I
last
do.
time you were on? It would have been
Movie adaptation, probably.
the movie adaptation one, yeah.
Oh,
So this is his current favourite question.
okay,
So take it away, Nico.
So I'm going to bring in our little grey friend.
okay,
So you're captured by aliens.
all right.
Go on. Either I will probe you, or you may select a book wi- through which I may better understand you. What book do you select? Or perhaps the probe?
Why is Obi-Wan Kenobi grey?
It's the most Obi-Wan he's ever done that, actually. That was-
Well, I've been watching The War of the Stars. Hello there.
Oh god.
You've
Butchered.
lost it now. Yeah, you've lost it now. No. We put the
Oh,
light on it, and the Force Ghost has left you.
It's shrunk away.
Yeah. This is really easy to answer for me.
Yeah.
Warship
this
Down.
pleases me.
Yeah.
What's shit
Ah,
down?
yes. Rabbit
Yes.
Murder Book. We are
Yes.
aware of it.
Yeah. I love Watership Down, and I will say I don't think it is sad. People think it's got a sad ending. I don't think it has. I think that's a misreading of it. Um, and
So what do you think people are going to get from reading Watership Down with you in mind? What are they going to learn about you from that?
Watership Down was the first time as a kid I saw a character in both Hazel and Fiver that was me, that I understood. It's because Fiver was a bit weird, and I got that, and Hazel was not in any way physically strong or martial, but he was clever enough to work stuff out, and
Yeah.
I kind of saw someone that I wanted to be in that. And I loved their adventure, and I loved the poetry of it when they get to sort of the murder warren, and I love Kihar, the seagull, which I didn't realize until I actually did a whole podcast about favorite books called Croncast, and they said, oh, Kihar is the Gleam, isn't it, from the Bone Ships, and it is. The Gleam is like this avian wind creature that like a bird, and they can control the wind through magic, and they're used as a slave species, and it's furiously angry about that, quite rightfully. So, and a lot of people said, "Oh, it's a Skeksis from Dark Crystal," and I was thinking, "Yeah, I do like the Skeksis." And then they said, "Oh, that's Kihar from Watership Down." I was like, "No, yes, it definitely is. That's where it's come from. He's an incarnation of Kihar," and then it has possibly the greatest bit of any book in it. Are you familiar with Watership Down? Oh,
I think I saw the
Yeah.
the movie of it when I was a kid, but I've never
Same
read
with
it.
the animation.
Yeah, the animation is good. The book is better. And
Right.
Richard Adams wrote it. Always said it's just a book for kids about some rabbits, and he says that, but each each chapter is prefaced by like stuff from Shakespeare and Homer, and I just think, yeah, you're not telling the truth, are you? Because that's not meant for kids. And there's a political allegory going on there, and each time I read it, and I read it quite often, like once every couple of years, I find something new in it. And go, I didn't see that. But at the end of it, it's in the cartoon as well. They come across this very militaristic warren, and there's a rabbit called Bigwig who should really be the leader of Hazel's rabbits because he's the biggest and the strongest. But he sees in Hazel something he doesn't have, which is someone who can see a bit further ahead and understands. And General Woundwort is this massive, terrifying rabbit that just kills. And Bigwig stands up to him in this warren, and then Woundwort says to him, "Look, we can be friends, me and you. You're the leader of this thing. Just let me past." I'm paraphrasing there because it doesn't go like that. And then Bigwig says, "No, my chief rabbit told me to hold this place, and that's what I'm going to do." And of course, he's talking about Hazel, who's physically slight and not much to him, but clever. But Woundwort cannot see that's a possibility. He just thinks, I can possibly beat Bigwig, but there's a bigger rabbit behind him, and I won't beat them. And that's when he turns around and leaves. And it's just managed so well, because you can just read it as him just saying, no, I'm going to fight you to the death, but he's not. There's a load of psychology going on. It's fantastic, and I always want to be able to recreate something like that in my books, and I've not managed it. One day, though, I will. I'll get it.
I love that answer. I like that something that you've read quite early on and then continues to be aspirational is such an exciting thing to have in your life.
Yeah, and to read it, you will not be disappointed. It's not a kid's book, but it's a book that can be read by kids. But it absolutely does not think of its reader as a child at any moment.
Yeah.
I do wonder whether his children might be incredibly damaged.
or extremely intelligent, potentially.
Yeah,
maybe both.
Or maybe both. Yeah.
Those are not mutual exclusives.
Yeah. But that is my book, and it's not a hard choice. It's my immediate book.
So this one's potentially quite a simple question, or maybe like a potentially a long one. But what is your editing process when you get down to it? So you've got that first draft that you're not happy with. What do you do to it?
I get the first draft, and then people tell you stop, give it some time, but I don't. I go right back to the beginning and I start to read it through again, while it's still fresh in my head, and I make it good. That is how I think of it. Yeah, I make it good, and also I fill in all the blanks where I've forgotten people's names and I've just written in that person.
Oh, that's top notch. I like that.
And
when just this idea of making it good, do you have like a concept of a particular audience that you're making it good for, or are you making it good for yourself, like to your standards?
For me.
Yeah.
I'm making it something that I want to read. Well, before I do that, I spell check the entire document because my typing is terrible.
Me too.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with having arthritis in my hands. That's what I tell myself. But I type words backwards and stuff like that. So I spell check the entire document, which makes it a bit easier. Then I look for all the instances where I've written from, where I meant to write form, or vice versa.
Oh, right, okay.
Comes up much more, because especially if I'm sending something to my agent, rather than if it's a new thing that's going to my agent, because it drives my agent absolutely mental. And he just emails me counts of how many he's found in each document. And I've never managed to get one without at least one in it. Yeah, I say at least one, at least sort of 20. But that's what I do. And then I just read it through and I try and just sort of smooth it all out. And I do go backwards and forwards quite a bit, sort of making... Because I always, if I get to a point and I think, I've made a mistake here, that there should be X happening, I'll go back and put in X on my way back. I just write as though I've done it from that point. I don't go and do it then. So there's quite a bit of back and forth in doing it, and then once I've done that, I'll read it again, and that's more on a kind of line level of getting it to. I never know how to. It's almost synesthesia with words in that it sometimes it feels square and it should feel round, and that's the only way I can ever explain it.
Okay.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I'm making the sentences so they feel round, and the spacing of the paragraphs, I'm making them work. And it's not about grammar, because grammar is a toolbox that you can use if you want, but when you get to creative writing, you can also completely ignore it, as long as you're choosing to do that. It does annoy some people a lot, but I'm fine with that.
I will happily nail that sentiment to my fucking wall. Like, that is
Yeah, it's
vital.
yeah, it's creative writing. It's not report writing.
Yeah,
Grammar is designed so that you can write a report and your manager can take it from you and claim they did it, because there's no voice in there. So as a writer, you will have a voice and it might not obey all the rules. My editor gave me the best advice ever, because I'm not that confident about my grammar, because I didn't exactly go to school. Because I was going to be a rock star, but it never happened, as you know from last time. But he said, right, I said, look, the copy editor said I have to change all this stuff. And Ed said, right, the copy editor is technically correct, but yours reads a lot better. And then he just wrote in block capitals, shut up, copy editor at the bottom. And I had it taped to my laptop for ages, which is unfair on my copy editors because they're all lovely.
Yeah.
But it's your... Yeah, it's your work, and it has to feel like you. So that's what I'm doing when I'm editing. I'm making it feel like me.
That's top notch.
Yeah, then my editor also corrects a lot of stuff in it when she goes through it because she can't stop herself. But,
I love that little insight there. That whole making it round where it was square. That it really a very like natural and like feel led process, which is really exciting.
Yeah, and it's the only way. I'm very wary about learning too much about writing in case I forget I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, do you like deliberately like blinky yourself a little bit and just be like, I don't want to know that. I don't need to know that.
Yeah. I don't go on courses, and I won't read books on it or anything like that, because it's just, what if it turns? Because I remember when I first started, just absolutely failing to write because people kept telling me I was doing it wrong.
Right. Yeah.
And these were people who were already writing professionally to some degree. And I was thinking, well, clearly they know what they're doing. And of course, they know what they're doing for them. They don't know what they're doing for me. And I think by the time I got published, I'd come right back the way around to how I was writing at the start, but with a bit more knowledge backing it up on making stories work.
Yeah.
But the stuff they were saying about was all like, oh, you shouldn't write basically with a Yorkshire accent, which is what I do. So you should write the right way for you, not for someone else.
This applies across all the arts, though, I reckon. Like, the amount of people say, no, this is how you draw, or this is how you write a song. It's like, well, no, that's how you do it. And that's why there's loads of people on Instagram whose drawings all look the same. But find your style. Find the thing that, I mean, first of all, that you find the most enjoyment when you're doing it. Because we've got this gross thing happening where everyone thinks that you shouldn't sing or draw or paint or sculpt or anything unless you're doing it as a professional and being paid for it. And some people are designed for that, like you are, Jay. You're an incredible writer, and like you say, you hand it to your people, and they return with money and say, "Give us more book, please." But it's okay
Touch
if
wood.
that isn't
We have to
happening
touch
to
wood.
you.
It carries on.
I never touch my wood on the podcast.
Not after that last time that we got in trouble for it, at least.
Nah. That was when the alien was probing me. It was a heady afternoon.
That was a messy edit.
I'm
Right.
disappointed that when Nico said this applies across all arts, he wasn't actually talking about do it with a Yorkshire accent.
I thought that was where he was going.
Yeah.
Well, all right, we can switch to it. Would it make you happier?
No,
Let's stay with yours.
it was a lovely sentiment. It was lovely. So
Right,
that idea of
other
having
artists.
the idea of like having your voice sing out really loud inside your writing by not letting other people tell you what to do. when you look at other authors for inspiration, like are there any contemporary people that do inspire you because they either write so much just like themselves or anything like that? I guess it's a roundabout way of saying, like, do you have any contemporary inspirations
Oh God,
in fiction?
yeah. For different reasons, though. I mean, Adrian Tchaikovsky, it is just astounding. The breadth of his ideas. And he's a friend of mine. We actually live quite close to each other, so we meet up every so often. But
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, his work is just. I don't really have words for it. I read Children of. He's written loads, but the ones that really talk to me here is Children of Time, Children of Ruin, and Children of Memory, and just the level of ideas going on in them is amazing, and very much something I think only he could do. That it's very specific to him, and I love that, and I kind of aspire to having that level of ideas going on in my head. There's a lot of crime writers, contemporary, because that tends to be what I read is contemporary crime.
I remember you saying.
Yeah, and then science fiction. I've just discovered Dennis Lehane, who's just blown me out the water. I'm just wow, just the way it's written. And oh God, what was? There's a writer called C.R. Cosby. Have I got that right? I'm just going to look up his book.
C.R. Cosby.
No, it's bringing up Bing Cosby. It's not C.R. Cosby. Cosby is definitely the surname. S.A. Cosby. I don't know where I got that. S.A. Cosby, and he's a writing. He's a black author writing books based in the Deep South, and his work is just mind blowing. There's a line about something that had been brought up in violence, and somebody said that kind of hurt needs fed. Which
that kind of hurt needs fed.
Yeah, and they were talking about this person had turned into a monster, and it was just one of the greatest lines I've ever come across in a book, and I was so jealous, massively jealous.
Does he go for the sort of like Southern Gothic vibe, or is it?
Yeah, it's kind of that. That feels very urban to me.
Right.
And James Lee Burke's work is also set in the same areas, and his feels more Southern Gothic to me. In that there's an air of the supernatural going on in them, and I don't get that from Cosby's work. But it is brilliant and well worth your time reading. It makes me very jealous. That's how I know I've hit something good.
If it makes you jealous.
Yeah, it makes me really jealous in a nice way, not in a kind of I wish I could do this. And of course, it's not like that being a writer, because you can only do what you do as well as you possibly can. You can't be someone else. So,
I had that feeling recently when I watched Andor. The Star Wars show, because I thought just the Tony Gilroy, the way that I think he wrote most of it, directed most of it, showran it, and just effectively blew every other piece of Star Wars media out of the water.
Yeah, I have theories about that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think he wrote a spy thriller.
Yeah.
And that is set within Star Wars. And I think most of them write a Star Wars story that is a thing. And the reason Andor works so well is it's not constantly looking at it and going, hey, Star Wars, look, it's that thing from Star Wars that you recognise. It never does that, except really subtly. There's a really nice bit where some of the engineers on the first planet where he's from, they're wearing the yellow, which later becomes the uniform that you see the X-Wing fighter pilots wear.
Yeah.
Oh, the same colour.
The orange, and it's just really subtle, never mentioned, but you notice it. And there's lots of stuff like that going on. But I thought Andor was brilliant, and it took its time as well, which is lovely.
Yeah, subtlety and showing, not telling all the time. This is what you just said. Actually, is very similar to something that Nico said to me before we came on mic earlier, a few hours ago, with the way that the later trilogy, the more recent trilogy, it was just like shaking baubles in front of the audience's face, being like, this thing here, remember this thing? You like this thing?
Yeah, it was.
I mean, Death Star, but bigger and more death and more star.
The second one in that trilogy got so much stick, and most of people, but was and it was flawed in many ways.
That's the Rian Johnson one, right? Is
Yeah,
it? The second one.
but by a long way the most interesting, and with the only moment in it that I properly thought was brilliant, which was at the end where the kid puts out his hand and the broom jumps into it.
I remember getting a little bit excited about that bit in the cinema, and then
Yeah.
it just nothing came of it, and
Yeah.
he's like, oh god damn.
Yeah, they brought Thingy back in there to do the most safe version possible.
Sanitized madness.
Well, I can never forgive that last movie just because, well, you know the now infamous somehow Palpatine return
Yeah,
line.
yeah.
The fact that that somehow was explained in a Fortnite event. So if you were playing Fortnite, you got to learn how Palpatine was
No.
reborn. So if you weren't a Twitch streamer or an 8-year-old, you had no idea.
I mean, that is fucking heinous, isn't it? That is
Yeah, it's truly
completely
evil.
irresponsible.
But don't worry, Fortnite's fine. I, for one, am really happy to see Emperor Palpatine kamehamehaing people. That's why I'm here.
I think we'll be coming up for a big change in films soon, because I kind of get the feeling people are bored of seeing films that they have to do homework for.
100%. Yeah. There's like homogenized mass of nonsense that's just getting pumped into your throat. It's just foul at this stage.
Have you seen Barbie yet, RJ?
No, I haven't. I'll probably see it when it comes onto streaming, but I want to.
It's very, very good.
It's very good. Yeah.
Do you know I did watch The Surprise Me on how good it was? The talking of Margot Robbie, the second suicide thingy.
Yeah. Yes, Suicide
I
Squad.
enjoyed that one.
Yeah, and it's her. I mean, she's brilliant.
She is.
Yeah, I don't think Sly really brings a huge amount with the shark, King Shark, does he?
but what really matters, boys, is have you watched The Bear?
Oh no! So this is something that I've actually been. It's been on my list for absolutely ages, and I potentially wanted to watch it with you, Nico, The Bear, because it's
I'll be up for that.
It's like a taut drama set in a kitchen, right? It's like a chef drama.
It's not about that at all.
Oh, is it not? Oh, right.
Well, it is, but that's not what it's about. If you know what I mean.
Yeah,
that's
I
what
get
it's
it.
set. And have you either of you ever worked in a kitchen?
Yes.
Very, very briefly. Yeah.
Okay. Nico said that in a kind of yes, I have done for quite a while actually. Because I have friends who've worked in kitchen who can't watch it.
Oh no.
Because it gives them PTSD basically. Because they're just like,
have you or they seen Boiling Point?
I've not, and if they had, they would have turned it off because that's why. Because if you could get through Boiling Point, you'd probably be all right with a bear.
Yeah.
There's a bit where they're doing show don't tell for how busy the restaurant's getting, and it's the noise of the tickets coming into the kitchen, and everyone's ticket printer sounds like that. And if you're not looking for it, you won't hear the noise. But if you've ever worked in a kitchen, that sound haunts you, and it's playing really often. And it increases how often that all of Boiling Point is just designed to upset people who've worked in that industry. I promise you, it's a genius. But
the thing about the bear is it has a really, really good heart. And
yeah,
do you know the setup for it? It's not spoilery.
So the only thing I'm aware of is that I think is it a dude goes back home to like a family kitchen that he has to like rescue.
Yeah, he's a proper high end Michelin chef, but quite fragile as a person. You kind of get that. He's not like Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
Say that. And the person in his life that was important was his big brother, and his big brother ran this sandwich restaurant called The Beef, but it's an American sandwich restaurant. It's not like throwing some stuff in the bun. They make those big sandwiches and they boil
take it
beef
seriously.
And his brother commits suicide and leaves him the restaurant, and he comes back and he's got to make it work. And of course, everyone that works there just thinks he's absolutely up himself. But it's not about the restaurant. It's about him and his brother, and him kind of confronting that. and it is amazing. I honestly thought that every episode in it was ad-libbed. I thought they were just letting people into this thing and just saying this is what it's about, but it's not. It's really tightly scripted.
You have
Oh
bumped
wow.
up my list, sir. I think I'll have to. I was going to watch The Great next, but I think
The Great is fabulous. The
it.
Bear is one of
Yeah,
the best things on television that I've ever seen.
top
Oh,
notch.
but
Yeah.
just to further press that, what sort of people Ben and I are and where we differ.
Mm.
That's on your list. I was just really excited that I have both finished the American version of The Office and the live action One Piece. So I'm just a happy little boy.
I've actually found as I've gotten older that the watching. I'm not saying it is trash because I've not seen it, so I can't pass comment on it. But like watching trash actually degrades my life experience to a point where it makes me kind of depressed. Like I tried to watch Spartacus: Blood and Sand, and I got about 2 seasons into it before I was just mentally complaining about the writing and the acting constantly to
Yeah.
such a degree that it was just upsetting me. And I think it was actually you, Nico, that was like, "Why don't you just stop?
Yeah.
Just you can just stop." Like I was like, "Oh yeah, I can do
Yeah.
that. I can just stop."
Well, I watch what you might call trash while I'm writing. So I kind of watch the stuff that I feel like I should be paying attention to because I'm a genre author, but I'm not actually that interested in, like a lot of the Marvel
Yeah.
stuff and stuff like
Like
that. I'll
sort of
watch
the
while I'm
bubblegum.
writing. Yeah, and I can have it on the background. I don't really need to pay attention. And then the stuff that I really want to watch in the evening at half. And The Bear was in that, and Ted Lasso, which I did not expect to grab me the way it did. 'Cause
Yeah,
I've
I've
known
heard that from a few people actually that it's a bit of a sleeper
Yeah.
hit, that one.
Yeah, it's about football, and I hate
Yeah.
football. I despise football, but it's not. It's just lovely. If you want something to lift you, watch Ted Lasso on Apple TV. It's because its premise is that they get this person who knows nothing about football but just wants to be nice to people to come and manage a Premier League football team, and they're all absolute dicks. And
Yeah.
and he's just like, "Ah, we're gonna do this thing, and we're gonna be really positive together." And it's just about being nice to people and how that can work. And it's just the loveliest thing watching this man win people round that you wouldn't expect. And they've done 3 seasons, and it's not perfect, and they're not doing it anymore, which is right.
That is always a selling point for me. If it's finished or if it's going to be tight, like if they aren't going beyond a couple of seasons, because those shows that get into like the 8th or 9th season, you're just like, what is happening? Apart from possibly Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which that sort of comedically evolves through its run. But
Yeah.
so this sort of leads us. I mean, we've been talking about TV a lot, but actually it does lead into the next question quite nicely because I have been recently watching Succession, which is 4 seasons tight, really well done.
Mm.
And in that, there is the father figure has his own sort of. It's almost like he's got his own theme music that sort of plays around his decisions and his scenes, and the other members of the family start to get like variations on that theme in
Mm.
musically in their own vein. And I was just wondering that obviously that's more to do with TV, but when you are writing or even after you finish writing a book, do you have you ever associated a song or a piece of music with a character almost like it's their theme?
No, but I do associate stuff with what I was listening to a bit. I think in the back of some of the books there is a little list of what I was listening to at the time. For the Wyrdwood, I've been listening to a lot of black metal and post metal because it has that kind of lonely, dark feeling
Yeah.
to it. I was talking with Ben about this, about how it's just, if you're listening to black metal, it's best just not to Google them because
Yeah.
they're quite often fascists, and then you can't listen to them anymore.
Oh god.
So,
It's a genuine problem.
yeah, but that's why I was recommending Black Braid, who are a Native American black metal band, so not fascists, but very good. So I've listened to a lot of that, but I don't associate any particular one thing. But I think that is when I'm writing and I hit it, I'm absolutely unaware of anything else going on in the world around me because I'm in that place. I'm not paying attention to anything. And I know a lot of writers, like, they put on soundtrack music and so on. I don't do that. I just put stuff on it doesn't
What about
really
like sort of
exist.
after the fact, like sort of potentially from your Assassin's trilogy? Have you ever hit like a bit of music that's like, oh, that feels like that scene or that character?
It's not for any of the fantasy stuff.
Hmm.
There's I'm gonna have to bring up my Spotify so I can find the right song. The Mal and Jackie books. Had I done the Mal and Jackie books last time we spoke?
Not sure. When did you bring them out?
I think possibly might have been just about to come out, or
I
no,
think you may have done. If these are the RJ
yeah,
Dark ones.
yeah. I think I'd probably done one of them maybe.
I think you've done one.
It was
Yeah.
August 2021 that we spoke.
Yeah, I think
last.
the first one was out.
First one was out.
Yeah, so the first and second one are out now, and there is a third one, but publishing is a very strange industry. Let's just leave it at that. And it will arrive eventually. But there's a song called "Kiss the Sky" by Sean Lee's Ping Pong Orchestra, which is not metal at all, and is lovely. It's kind of souly, but I associate, I don't know, really strongly with Jackie Singh Katar from those books, who is like a borderline psychopath, but he wants to do the right thing. And his friend Mal, who's the narrator and main character, is absolutely not interested in any form of violence or getting into trouble. But he's Jackie's sort of morals. He looks to Mal for what is the right thing to do, and because
It's
of
a
that,
fascinating dynamic.
yeah, he drags him into these situations which are going to get incredibly dangerous. Because he's like, what do I do? These people are trying to kill me. And because the setup for the first book is he brings somebody. Mal's a medium, but he's not.
Yeah.
He's a fake. He's quite open about that to everyone but his clients. He brings in this woman, and her husband's just been killed in a bike accident, and he had £8 million hidden away. And Jackie's like, look, she wants to get off this really rough estate they all live on, and that's a large amount of money. So you're really good at research. You can find out where it was hidden, and we'll get a finder's fee. It'll be brilliant. And Mal's just like, I think this sounds quite dangerous. And he's like, no, it's all fine. She comes along, and it turns out it's a lottery ticket that's been lost. And he's just like, I can't find that. There's no way I can do that. And this woman is actually, she's the daughter-in-law of the biggest gangster on this council estate, and he wants the money. So he turns up and goes, find that money, it's for me. And then the Russian gangsters from the big city next door turn up and go, actually, he can't have that money because it gives him too much power, so you give it to us. And Mal's just like, someone is going to kill me.
I love those crime stories where like the Jenga blocks just fall on the detective's head repeatedly, and it build and build and build.
And they're the easiest thing to write because basically Mal is just me. It's just a version of me whose life went a very bad way, and he was a drug addict, and it all went wrong. My wife loves them. She saw them on direct morning. She went, if I was going to have an affair, we were sat with some friends. If I was going to have an affair, I would have an affair with Mal from your books. One of our friends just turned around and went, "That's because it's RJ. He's not even hiding it. That's why you like him." And I was like, "Oh, well, she has a type." So
that's affirming, man. That is affirming. I like that.
But there's that is Jackie's song, and Mal's is a song called "A Never Ending" by Scraps of Tape, who are a kind of post-metal band. So those two songs, and I don't know why, they're the only songs that have ever attached themselves to characters that I've written, and they're not from like the stuff people know me for. They're from like the other stuff that.
That's interesting.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you say you have a lot of TV on in the background while you're writing.
Mm.
So maybe it's because you're not putting the music alongside them. Are there like TV shows or movies that have attached themselves to your characters or books?
No, because I'm not paying attention, and it's not stuff that I'm actually that interested in. I think I watched 6 seasons of SWAT. We talked about that when you were on right off this, which is this terrible American program about the LA SWAT team, and it's run bang into Black Lives Matter, and it can't make up its mind.
Oh no! That sounds messy as fuck.
It's terrible. I finally had to give up on the last season. It was just too bad. But it's just like, we need an attack helicopter for the people. It's just it's mental. It's worth watching just to see them try just doing these kind of, and they went too mad. There was when they were trying to be too right on, and they decided to, bearing in mind the audience it's aimed at, which is like Middle America.
Yeah.
One of the female police officers decided to become polyamorous. She was gay, and I thought that's quite nice putting that in, and then she became polyamorous, and I just thought you're just going too far for the people watching this. They're not going to accept that. Yeah, but
Was this
bless your
around the?
construct.
Yeah, was this around the time when there was that big story from the States of that a whole bunch of the police officers from at this place got fired because they were all screwing each other?
Oh, it might
And
have been. I didn't see that. It's
Yeah.
but it might well have been. But it's properly funny, but not in a. Knowing, I don't know. You kind of get the feeling that somebody on the script team knows it is.
Yeah.
And is having a riot, and there's a lot of other people trying to write a serious police procedural.
I love this
See,
idea.
like,
Yeah, the writer just like locking the door to the writers' room and being like, "Okay, this is this
I
is the way
could
we're going."
imagine like they've got big hollow WOKE on the wall, and it starts to like light up as they're writing. It's like, oh, that's starting to glow a bit. I need to dial it back. They've got a Bud Light in one holster, but a loaded gun in the other. Yeah, that's it.
Are you talking
Perfect
about
balance.
some kind of
Oh.
wokometer that's based on feedback?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, but
Every time someone says, "I'll tell you what," it lights up. Oh no!
but yeah, I don't attach any of the TV I watch to the books I'm writing, because the whole point of them being there is their noise in the background.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
like that, but they're not something I need to pay attention to.
I think I was just hoping you'd have whenever I think of World of Warcraft, a game I haven't played now for about a decade, I think of the Hollyoaks theme tune because I'd be watching The Simpsons and it would be starting to wrap up, so I'd start logging into WoW and I wouldn't switch the TV off, and then
we,
Hollyoaks was straight after The Simpsons.
you might need to actually do a quick rundown of what Hollyoaks is for our American listeners,
So
because
for our
that's
American viewers, it's a very niche UK soap opera that is set in a little town, presumably called. I know none of the details about this show now.
yeah.
I think the place is called Hollyoaks, maybe. And but the thing is infamous for here is you had to have a modeling contract to be on it, but there were clearly like not all models are good looking. Like sometimes someone has to pose for a waxwork of Quasimodo or whatever, don't they? So
Mm.
it's just a very strange show where everyone looks plasticky and not quite real.
There's not much
And
acting.
No,
yeah, so obviously they've all
not a
got to be
drop of it.
models, but not one of them has to have gone to drama school.
No, no, no. The the scripts are interesting, and that's not in the
Yeah,
good way.
I mean,
yeah.
all British soap scripts are interesting.
Yeah.
There was a story on I think it was actually on the Beeb the other day, that someone who used to be on Coronation Street had come out to say the current storylines were unrealistic.
Oh, God damn it. That is
What the fuck?
bonkers.
All soap operas are massively unrealistic, though. The amount of
Yeah.
murders that happen in EastEnders, and I'm choosing EastEnders because a friend of mine wrote it for 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And told me, said if that was a real place, it would be demolished.
They'd be sending in the army.
Yeah, it's too dangerous to live there. No one would. The house prices would have bombed. It'd just all be squats. But yeah, my friend Mark, who was a showrunner for EastEnders.
Oh wow.
He won a BAFTA. He's won 2 BAFTAs actually. I might have won 3.
Crosses out. You're not my mother. Writes. You're not my father. Oh yeah. We're getting a BAFTA this year.
TV writing is insane because he can write like 10,000. He'll write 10,000 words in a day.
Oh, wow.
And that's not a big thing. That's just what you do. And constant revision of stuff. And people that do it have a lot. I'm impressed by them, but I wouldn't want to do it because it looks like work.
I do get. I mean, I know I spoke on your podcast before about my dad working as an art director in the film industry,
Mm.
and he's been doing a lot of work with Disney and Marvel. He's just he did Sandman, which wasn't with
Oh wow.
them, and then he was on Loki season 2. And he said it's actually fairly often that he'll message me and say, "Hey, do you own this comic book?" And I'll say, "Yeah." So can you take photos of any panels with X character or X thing in it and send them to me? Because they're like, "Hey, our notes say that this issue had this in it, and we want it in the show, and we're shooting that tomorrow." And he has to just create a prop out of fucking nowhere, but it is just expected.
It's mad.
I'd send him a fucking invoice if I was you. Like,
Well, he I won't say it on the podcast,
yeah,
but in fact I'll say it and then I'll cut it out. He
yeah.
I recently he contacted me and said, "Hey, have you got any issues of X?" And I was like, "Yep." And I just put them all in a bag and dumped it on his doorstep. So there you go. Enjoy it. Good luck.
Yeah, TV and film is really hard, and books is quite leisurely, actually. The only thing is, though, for TV and film, every time you write a revision of a script, you get paid.
Oh man.
So, which you don't like. That'd be brilliant for books. If you gave your book to your editor and then they came back and went, "We've got these editors, and they've got these edits," and you did the edits and you got paid again for them, that'd be brilliant. But it's
I'd be
not.
putting mistakes in on purpose.
Yeah, it's not how it works. So, yeah, so because it's weird 'cause it's not. It's not like saying you've got it wrong. It's saying, oh, actually, we've changed our mind about what we want this to be. You wrote a whole thing about ducks. Now it's geese. And then by the time you've done your geese, what do you know about goats and stuff like that? So
Find and
huge amounts of work.
replace dogs
Yeah.
with geese.
Yeah.
The goose barked.
Yeah.
It chewed its bone. Right, we've actually, this is quite fitting because we've just been talking about terrible British soaps.
Yeah.
But are there any tropes you actively avoid in your own writing?
Yeah. I'm really bad at when people say tropes and knowing what they are. There are things that are of no interest to me. Like
Yeah.
Jenny, my editor, really wanted me to put a romance into the first book because that's quite big at the moment, and I'm just not interested in that. And it didn't work in that book, and I couldn't see a reason for it, so I didn't. And the whole cozy fantasy thing, that's not for me.
Mm.
And it's fantasy's a really weird genre because on one hand you've got people who are really pushing stuff and it's really interesting stuff going on, and on the other hand there's a lot of it is nostalgia.
Yeah.
Is saying, look, here's Dungeons and Dragons for you in a different package, and that's of no interest to me. I'm looking for new, both as a consumer of it and as a writer of it. I'm trying to do something that I've not come across before. But I don't have anything against any trope in general because never say never, and
Yeah.
and they're there for a reason, which is that they work. So if something works, I'll nick it. And then
This idea of yeah, it's piracy, but it's righteous piracy, I think.
yeah, it's a homage.
Homage, yeah, that's it.
Homage.
This idea of like always wanting to break new ground and stuff. Do you like China Miéville's work?
Yes, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's quite impressive. It's
Yeah.
a long time since I've got the Scar, which I meant to read.
Yeah, I've just started the Scar actually. I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah, but I'm stuck in Dennis Lehane's work at the moment.
Nice.
So I'm going to be, and then I'm going to read, once I've done all of that, Aliette de, got it in my head, friends with her. It's too hot.
It is bloody hot. It is bloody hot.
Too hot to remember authors' names. And but Aliette did some books that are set in the Incan Empire and the murder mysteries. Aliette de Bodad. And I've just got those, and I'm really looking forward to those because I really like that sort of Incan Mayan thing because it's a really different civilization. I get really bored of it once the Spanish turn up because I want to know about them.
We've actually heard this from a few guests recently inside the last like 6 months or so.
Mm.
That I think there is a general like ennui to do with that like European fantasy that
Mm.
keeps keeps trucking, keeps popping back up. And
Yeah.
we've had a couple of people say that they are deliberately trying to broaden their horizons. And I think one even specifically said that like the South American, that kind of and Mesoamerican, those kind of cultures were a big deal to them. I think it's really exciting to hear you like pushing into those bits as well, because that's
But I've always been interested in them. They're
yeah,
kind of fascinating, other cultures, especially ancient cultures, because
yes,
all ancient cultures are incredibly alien. I read talking about stuff that impresses you earlier on. Miles Cameron, who also writes Christian Cameron, he writes history. Um,
Mm.
I read his books that are set in ancient Greece, and they are amazing. They're just
Yeah.
stunning books. And he wrote a science fiction novel called Artifact Space, which is brilliant. Just one of my favourite science fiction
it's
novels I've
lovely.
read in a long time. But yeah, and he actually worked on aircraft carriers, and you can feel like an Artifact Space because it's set on a massive spaceship that's kind of like a space aircraft carrier. But his ancient Greek stuff is fantastic because it's us, but it's an alien version of us, which is
Yeah,
fascinating to me. And that's what I like about history.
I
There's a
mean,
lot of
like
history.
even 100 years ago, we were more savage as a people in a different way,
Yeah,
perhaps.
yeah.
Um, do you
It's
have a favorite ancient civilization that sort of always sparks your imagination whenever you think about it?
imagination. It tends to be the less I know about it. So I'm quite fascinated by like when we had the Fertile Crescent and all of those first when cities were first cropping up and
Mm.
like ancient Samaria.
Yeah,
And
Sumerian,
yeah,
sort of the Gilgamesh kind of moment.
yeah, and I don't know if that fascination is just through history or because there's a goth band called Fields of the Nephilim who I really like.
I was going to say the Gilgamesh is because you like to listen to black metal.
Yeah, yeah. But Fields of the Nephilim were doing it first and a long time ago. And when they split up, the singer did a thrash album called Zune, the Nephilim, that's all about the myth of Ananna and Enkill, who went into the underworld to
Yeah.
bring his partner back, which you get kind of rehashed later on in other mythologies. And I really like that album. So it might just be that fascinates me. I think it works the opposite way around for me, what we're talking about. It's the music that sets me off.
Yeah.
As opposed to the music being there while I'm writing. But I would say I've listened to Zune because it's kind of a forerunner to a lot of extreme metal that we got. And there's a track on it called Zune Part 2, which is mental. It's all mental. But anyway, yeah.
Man, I,
This
I,
is
I
going to
always
be.
I always love talking to you, man, because your brain is so like deep and full in multiple directions.
Yeah.
Um,
It doesn't go
it's
very far in any direction.
well, it feels like it to me. Maybe my scope's limited, but yeah, it's really impressive. Like, what is your next project? So, are you doing book 2
Oh,
of this
well,
latest trilogy, or
I'm on maybe the last 40,000 words of book 3
right? Nice work.
now. So, and I finally realised where everything's going and everything's making sense, which is nice. So that took quite a long time. I always have a rough idea of where I'm ending a trilogy, but no real idea of how I'm going to get there.
Mm.
So, and it's quite panicky when you get to book 3. You're like, oh, what are we doing? And then between, because Wyrdwood and the Bone Ships, maybe not as much the Assassin books, are really quite heavy to write in that they're an entirely invented world. It has all this stuff going on underneath it that the readers can't see, especially in book 1 and a bit less in book 2, and then you find more of it in book 3, and it's quite mentally hard work. I only do about 1,000 words a day on it.
Mm.
And to escape it, this is an absolute true story. My agent Ed is lovely. He's brilliant. He's my friend as well. He said to me a while back, he said, RJ, you really need to just stop for a bit or you'll burn out. Just have a rest, just stop writing. Anyway, about 6 days later of constant emails from me asking him questions, he just sent me an email that said, "RJ, start writing."
Start writing.
Because I need to be doing it.
Yeah.
But I was really aware, sort of. I think it was after finishing the second Wyrdwood book, that I wanted to write something different. I needed to write something else, so I wrote another fantasy book as my holiday.
A holiday book.
Yeah, a holiday book, and I think I wrote that in 5 weeks because it was a really clear idea.
Nice.
And I smashed it out, and that's like a murder mystery set in the city, and I can't say too much because it's about to go on.
Yeah,
on
don't worry.
out.
Yeah, that's.
But and he's quite an acidic main character, and I really like it. It's really weird to have done a book and finished it and thought, yeah, that's quite good actually.
Oh, it's lovely.
What did we warn you about earlier?
Yeah, I
RJ?
know. It's everyone's gonna hate it, and it's different to my other stuff in that it is very much a murder mystery, and it's quite. Cause I always think that I'm quite silly, and humorous, and then people must hear that and think, "Oh, I'll try his books," and then read the books and think, "Oh my god, this is not what I was promised. This is harsh, but this isn't. It's quite humorous, not like making jokes, but it's there." So I wrote that, and I started the next big fantasy project, which is like the Assassins was Moors, very much set on Moors. Bone Ships was the sea, obviously. Ships is the giveaway in that title. Wyrdwood, Wyrdwood is woods. Wood being the giveaway in that title, and then the next one is it is not actually deserts, but that is my mindset for it, in that it's set somewhere really hot.
Oh,
It's actually
nice.
just a gravel pit in Yorkshire in the
Yeah.
summer of 1976.
Yeah, it basically is, and that's and I've written the first 2 chapters, and it's quite different. It's quite sort of pretty writing, and I've not quite come across anything like what I'm attempting in it.
Oh, that
So
sounds exciting. I like that.
Are
Yeah.
these all going to be Barker joints as well,
Yeah.
or are we getting more pseudonyms?
These will all be Barker, I imagine. I think there's a slight possibility that the murder mystery might not be, but I can't see why.
Yeah.
But you never. It is quite different, and what publishing likes to do is go, "Oh, well, that's going to confuse people." But I don't think it will. I think it's recognisably me. And then also my second holiday book that I wrote, I wanted to do like a British Jack Reacher book. So
What?
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I slammed out this book about a woman that gets attacked on the streets of Leeds, I think I set it in, and she's saved by this homeless man, and then events kind of go out of control. So my agent's got that as well, but that needs a bit more work than the other stuff. So
I'm not surprised at all to hear that you've been incredibly prolific, because you're very active on social media, and I always, whenever I see it and it's like you say, "Oh, I did 500 words today," or "I did 3,000 words today," just knowing that your word count overall is just ticking up, it always makes me smile. So it's
anyone can do that, and I hate the write every day thing. It's awful because just not everyone's situation allows that, and it's a really good way to make yourself feel guilty if you feel like you have to do something every day. But you can tick up like 10 words a week, and it's still going up.
still progress.
Yeah, it's all progress. What are you two writing at the moment? For the best.
Yeah, well, I think we're still writing quite a lot for the podcast, and then I've started writing more specific stuff for short story competitions, and I'm now doing a major rework of something that I wrote the whole novel and then wasn't 100% with it, so the that drafting process has turned into an almost holistic rewrite. And it's taking bloody ages. Like, I just can't believe how long this whole process has taken me. But
You know what to do?
Go on.
Write a holiday novel.
Right, holiday novel. It's
Yeah.
it's not a bad shout at all.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I
we're knocking around the idea of writing one together, haven't we?
Yeah, that's an exciting prospect. I think that doing one, which is the two of us, because we've done it a few times for the podcast where
Mm.
we've written little radio plays or this kind of thing, and the process works very seamlessly for us to write together. So I think that could well be a shout. Um,
Give that a go. I
I,
can't do that. I know I can't. I've tried
no,
writing novels with people, and it turns out actually I'm an insane control freak.
Yeah.
well, I would say the same about me to a certain extent, but like we just I think just because Nico and I know each other so well and we mesh very very well, hence the
Mm.
podcast, it just seems to work. But I don't think I could do it with anybody else.
Mm.
Sort of, I mean, truth be told, Ben says, "I think this is the story," and I'm like, "What if this dumb idea?" Also, here's a punchline for the next bit we're doing. It's it's quite effective, but
It is,
I
yeah.
say that like I'm like, and here's the punchline. What actually happens is I go punchline, 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 punchline. This is 3 and 5 were okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll figure it out.
It's really because I'm a really bad collaborator for the same reason I'm a really bad editor, which is I I see the thing that interests me, and that I can't stay away from it,
Yeah.
and it's, somebody might send me something to read through and look at, and I'll be like, oh, actually this happened. Another writer friend of mine sent me something to read of his, and I read it, and I sent back, and I went, yeah, it's good, but there is this female police officer in chapter 3, and I actually think the entire book should be about her. And he wrote back and said, she's only in 2 chapters. Okay, yeah, but she is the most interesting character in the entire book. Should be about her. And he was just like, fuck off. Yeah. And I ended up nicking her and writing something of my own about her.
Yes.
I had to write to him and say, look, I've done this, and I'm really sorry. Do you mind? And he was like, no, knock yourself out. It's all right. So I did that, but I can't. I just can't. I wish I could. I'd be really interesting to do, but I can't. I just like, no. Yeah, I know you want to write this thing about this, but you mentioned a cat, and I'm there for the cat. That's fine.
So for myself, it was writing an album's worth of songs, and of course that album's going to come out in a couple of weeks, which means I now need to start writing the next album's worth of songs.
That was my next question: was how is the band doing?
Very well, yeah. We've got
Yeah.
our second album's coming out on the 29th of September. For anyone listening, you can pre-order now at isawmerch.com.
Nice.
And smooth. And are you going to tour?
We are in November. We'll be going all over the UK.
Are you coming to
Okay.
Leeds?
Let me find out.
Yeah. Leeds.
Listen,
Leeds.
I'm not that well prepared.
Yeah, come on, it's your band. Come on, this is shocking.
You know, like how you have an edit.
Yeah.
We have a guy.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. Let me see. Right. Fill time, boys.
Yeah.
Right, we'll cut it. I will just tell the little anecdote of the last time that Nico went on tour, which was relatively recently. He ended up playing a gig in the Hobbit pub that Ian McKellen and that all
Yeah.
saved.
Yeah.
And they did their first acoustic set in this Hobbit pub because they don't allow amplified music.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately couldn't go, but like I've seen Nick perform a lot, but like that was one that I really wish that I could have got to because it would have been really cool to be in that crowd.
How come he doesn't take you on tour?
Yeah, he should really.
Because
Can barely afford to take me on tour.
you don't play an instrument, do you?
God no, I'm absolutely tone deaf. I can hardly sing. I can't do anything
But
apart from write stories.
what his band needs is a Bez character. And you could do that.
A what character? Sorry,
A Bez.
Bez.
a Bez. Oh, Bez
If you
character.
turn up with maracas, I'm going to slap you with them.
Yeah,
I'm going to hit you with one and insert the other.
you need something a bit more metal than maracas, like tambourine. Maybe that's.
I mean,
Just
I've
remember
got-
that
I've got
anything
a
that
tabor.
yeah. Oh no, you need even more rhythm to do percussion. I'd need something that was completely innocuous.
Triangle.
A triangle. Yeah. What about
Yeah.
like some kind of? Can I have the lighting desk? I could do the lighting desk. I feel like just
Look,
spotlight.
now,
No, I think you need your rapport on stage.
That's true.
we are playing in Leeds, by the way.
Are you? Where are you
Yeah.
playing?
playing the Santiago in Leeds on the 18th of
Yeah.
November.
Because I'll come and I'll bring my little boy.
Oh,
Good
that'd be
God.
exciting.
Because he's done very few gigs, and I think he'd really enjoy it. So, especially if he can meet the band. He'll be like, oh, what's
Of
the
course.
band? Or he's a teenager, so it could just go entirely opposite way and I'll be like, oh, whatever.
Who's your friend, is he, Dad? What a loser.
But if you mention that you like Pokemon, that
Oh, yeah,
Oh, that
there
I
you
actually
go.
do.
yeah, you'll just go up in his estimation. So 18th November in I don't know the Santiago. I'll have to look it up.
Who
I'm
do
gonna
I?
put it in my diary, and we'll come see you.
I don't think I've ever
Right.
been to Leeds.
Oh,
This
it's
just
best,
occurred to me.
best
It's
scene in
just,
the
is this
UK.
turning into a night out?
Yeah.
It might do, yeah.
I mean,
The-
we just doxed me for everyone listening, so
I've been feeling
I'll
this
be
is
there
gonna.
on that day.
Yeah.
This
Oh, you
episode's
ready?
gonna have a fair few cuts in it, I think, Nico. Get ready
Yeah.
for the edit. Um,
Yeah.
You know
What
my
you
rule,
ready?
Ben, when you bring up that I'm going to have to cut something, I have to leave it in, and you saying we're going to cut it.
it's the cardinal rule. Go on. I'll go on. Sorry.
I might even bring Mrs. RJ. I don't know whether
Goodness grief.
we would all come.
And I've got to wear
And
black and white stripes.
yeah, but you don't look for me. You look for her. 'Cause,
Okay.
yeah, she's noticeable. She's the goth that you'll see. I just look a bit metal.
And of course, there'll be a Mrs. Rogers as well by that point.
I will.
Oh yeah. Does
I
she come on
doubt she'll
tour?
be in Leeds.
She's missing out. Good shopping.
I'll
Yeah.
tell her.
Yeah, it's one of the best shopping centres. People come from all over the world to go shopping in Leeds.
Tell her RJ's told her that she has to go to this one.
I mean, they said that about the bull ring in Birmingham, and the whole city's just declared itself bankrupt.
It's really confusing, is that? Because Birmingham has no city centre. There's just a shopping centre.
Yeah, it's fucking
Yeah.
weird.
With
And
a
if you
train
go,
station on either side of it.
yeah, and if you come out the wrong entrance of that shopping centre, you're lost. That's it. I got so confused in Birmingham. Fantasy Con is in Birmingham this year.
Yes.
Um,
Are you speaking at all or going to any
I'm
panels?
not this year because I've not been great, so I'm doing less. So I've just decided to cut that this year. Next year I probably will do again.
So, where should people keep up to date with your news? Like, what kind of social media or blog or newsletter, anything like that?
I would always say Twitter before, but he's ruined that.
It is a bit of a hellhole at the moment, even more so than it used to be.
Yeah, and I don't think it has any reach at all either. I don't think people see half the stuff that they used to.
Yeah.
But I am on Twitter if you search for RJ Barker. I'm also on Blue Sky as RJ Barker. I have a website which is www.rjbarker.co.uk, and you can sign up for my mailing list on my website in the About bit. But I have not sent a mailing list out for over 4 years. So whether you'll ever get anything, I don't know. And I think that I don't bother with my Facebook because I use it purely for keeping up with family, and I don't add people on it. It's really those two places, I think.
It's good.
Yeah.
I love this idea of people signing up to your mailing list, and then a couple of years after they do it, after they've forgotten that they did it, they just get this big newsletter where you just decided to dump like 10,000 words into it. Love it.
Everything I've done.
Yeah. Sorry, did you say
Just
something?
sign up to our. It sounds like your fans should just sign up to our newsletter because it has
Yeah.
provably been about you more often than your newsletter.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially in the last 4
Statistically,
years.
yeah, if you want to find out about me, that this is the newsletter you should find. Nearly forgot the important one. Writopolis.
Of course,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, Writopolis. We've been on hiatus as unfortunately Kit's dad passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
Oh
that.
no.
Yeah, but we're coming back towards the end of this month. We've not actually specifically set the date yet. So follow Writopolis on Blue Sky or Twitter, and we'll be back with our bullshit, as I believe the phrase is.
Back with that bullshit. It's an absolute laugh. Definitely recommend that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we're gonna do the 1-star quiz again, as well at some point because we were meant to do it, and it got postponed because of Kit's dad coming ill.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing that, and then I'm sure we'll have you boys back on again because it was a great laugh.
Mm.
And that. So there's that. And Writopolis is probably more regular than anything else I do.
Aside from pumping out great novels, come on,
yeah.
there you go.
Lots of well done,
That,
Ben.
that people need
Yeah.
to buy immediately. Gods of the
Yeah.
Weirwood in hardback at the moment.
Yeah, you ever thought of doing PR?
Yeah, no, I have literally moved across to comms recently, so yes. Oh no, it's every time we speak, it's always illuminating and also really enjoyable, my man. It's
You are a delight every time.
Even though I am really bad at doing the central theme of your podcast, which is Write the Story, which I have not actually done for any of them. I just recycle.
That's how much we like you.
Yeah, you let me recycle an old one for the last one, and then just not do it at all this time. I am prolific, but it's very specific prolificness. One day I'll write a short story, and I'll just send it to you and say, right, let's do this.
This is coming.
Yeah, at some point I will, because I've got lots of half-written short stories, but they tend to go much longer than you want.
Yeah, I mean, recently I've been finding the word limit to be really quite difficult to hit, especially as I've been trying to write the novel more. Like I'm trending towards longer and longer word counts.
But I think because you're reading them out,
yeah,
people have a limited attention span.
Absolutely, yeah.
And listening to people, so it's really difficult.
Yeah, and also like the core premise really is that it is actually difficult to try and express a story in that amount of time. So it's
that's why I don't do it.
Yeah. Anyway. It was over 100 episodes, 109 episodes ago that you were on. We've done 109 since then. It actually boggled me when I realized, when I sort of figured that out. I was like, it doesn't feel like, it feels like it wasn't that long ago that we spoke to you for the first time.
No, when we asked RJ, he was only on recently.
Yeah, a bit of that.
Yeah, no, I'm always happy to come on and chat about stuff. So I'm putting 18th November. I'm putting you. Oh no, I've mentioned it again, haven't I? You have to cut it again. I'm putting a secret date in a secret place into my calendar. There.
Oh, go on, take us out, Nick.
Get the fuck out of here.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of The Tiny Bookcase.
Remember to subscribe, otherwise you're going to miss out on the future fun.
Also, tell a friend. If you like this episode, link them to it.
We'd be tremendously grateful. You can follow us on Twitter at BookcaseTiny, Facebook at The Tiny Bookcase, and Instagram at BookcaseTiny for updates. Speaking of supporting the podcast, well, magic can only take one so far. The Tiny Bookcase is supported by the generosity of its patrons. Those kind souls have really kept my belly full the last year. Let's cast a spell for them, shall we? For magnificent beardery, let's cast the Chinicus folliculale spell on Gary Laird. For rich ginger tones on the scalp, let us cast the Orangi Hedondo spell for Scott Byrne. And for general fabulousness, why not the Ooh La La How's Your Mother spell on Matthew McLaren?
How do you come up with that shit, man?